My name is Chipo Sawards. Thank you so much for joining me. I wanted to talk about in the age of the quarantine, in the age of the coronavirus, with what's happening with the pandemic. I wanted to talk to you because I really feel that there's something a lot worse that's happening to us as a people, especially the people of God. I wanted to talk about that. In the beginning, when the quarantine started, a friend of mine from New York sent me a message. She asked if I wanted to join in a prayer, Zoom prayer. We were gonna pray 3 times a week, and it was gonna be for 2 hours. She sent me an invitation. So anyway, I said sure. I love to pray, and basically I got in on the prayer. The first time that I got in on the prayer, and a lot of them are really good friends of mine from New York City. So um, the prayer time was so powerful that I knew that God wanted me to be a part of this. I knew that God wanted me to he wanted to speak to me, wanted to speak to us. So anyway, we started praying, and it's like the more that we started praying, the more that we felt like, um, even if you're not a believer, even if you're not a Christian, we've never experienced anything like it. We've never experienced anything where the world literally had came to a stop. It's almost like God was bringing it to a halt because He's trying to get our attention. He's trying to speak to us. I know that I have family in Africa, and they were locked in, and back home in Africa, it's like if you don't work, you can't eat. There's no such thing as government assistance. So people really in a hard place all over the world, and so the prayer was really just a perfect time to come together and to ask God we're praying about God to eradicate this virus, but also in the midst of it, we know that God isn't He's not the author of these diseases and everything, but He allows these things because He's trying to get our attention as a people. But anyway, I find that when I started praying, God started showing me my own heart. He started showing me that for a long time, it's like I would go about my life. I've been a Christian for a long time, and but it's like God wasn't number one anymore. God started showing me just in the busyness of life. I've been so busy with everything. I'm very active in life and in the things that I do, in the things that I'm involved in. But I got so busy that Jesus was not number one. It's almost like I shelved Him. And then of course I'll pray to Him when I needed Him, when I needed help, and when I was going through a hard time. But He wasn't number one anymore, and God was showing me that I've forsaken my first love. So first and foremost, God started showing me that during that prayer time is that I needed to get back with Him, and I really love the way that I felt in that prayer is the way that I felt when I came to God, when I was on fire for God and sold out for Him, and everything, life evolved around Him when I was growing up in New York City. So it's like it brought back those feelings again. It brought back that passion to seek God, that passion to love God, that passion to read the Bible. I can't believe I'm crying, but anyway, it brought that back up again. And my friends and I started praying, asking God that, God, what do you want to show us during this time? What do you want to speak to us during this time? Because before that, I was just really consumed with what was going on with the news, with the politics. And we have to really be honest with each other, is that no one really knew about this virus. It's like a mystery virus. It's an invisible enemy, like the president has called it. No one really knew much about the virus. So it's almost like we've come to a place now where we're expecting instant answers, instant everything, instant vaccine, instant why there were a lot of unknowns about the virus, and we've come to a place where we want everything instantly. And God doesn't work that way. God, in everything that He allows in life, He has a purpose, right? So anyway, it's like the more that I started praying, the more I started seeing things from God's perspective. And unfortunately for me, from what I'm seeing from a lot of my, not all, but a lot of my Christian friends, um, it seems like they're just really consumed with their, and I get the fact that people have issues as far as what they're reading and what they're hearing as far as the uh, uh, the death rates and the numbers. People thinking that it's being manipulated and all that. So I'm not trying to. That's a different conversation. But what I'm trying to say, this, and I know that we need to educate ourselves. I'm not saying we should be just go about our business and not know what's going on. We need to educate ourselves, but at the same time, it's never God's will, it's never God's heart for us to be consumed with those things instead of being in tune with Him and understanding the times and what He's trying to speak to us about. And I feel like a lot of people have lost sight in that, because it's like I'm being sent so many videos that I can't even keep up with what people want me to watch, with what people want me to see. And some of them are important and they're interesting, but at the same time, I felt like I was started to spend more time watching these videos than seeking God. And so when the prayer time came in, it's like it was perfect, because God was showing me that He wanted me to focus on seeing. He started showing me the other side, started showing me the people that were suffering, the people that were hurting. As long as I've grown up in New York City, as long as I've lived in New York City, and I've gone through hospitals, I've had surgeries. Thank God we're not life threatening. I've never seen trucks of refrigerated trucks of body bags, of bodies. I've never seen that many people die just in a single time, the way that we're seeing with COVID-19. And the thing is that my friends in New York City they're in the epicenter, so their experience is completely different to, for example, some of us who live on the other side of the country. We're not seeing the same thing. We're not experiencing the same thing. So I feel like some of my friends are detached. We become detached. It's like if we're not there, it's like 9/11, right? It's like I was there in 9/11. So somebody who's not in New York City might not have the same experience as somebody who's there. So, but I feel like it's almost like we're questioning, like, what if this is how I see it, right? What if 9/11 happened? I think 3,000 people died, right? What if people started questioning, like, okay, it's not 3,000 people that died. The other ones that they just jumped off the building because there was a fire and they just jumped off, so we can't count them in. So this whole thing about people that have underlying illnesses, what I'm seeing, to me, what I'm finding troubling as God's people is that we're minimizing the deaths. We are overlooking the fact that behind every death, people are saying, well, it's 99% of the people that survive, so it's not the coronavirus is not any different from the flu. It's not any worse from the flu. It's literally discounting behind every death rate. It's not just a number, because behind every death rate, there's a family member that's lost somebody. There's a family member that's hurting. And I feel like we've lost that as a people. I feel like just watching how people have died in the nursing homes, and the fact that even in the nursing homes, the morgues have ran out of room. They're throwing bodies in garbage dumps outside. We've never seen anything like that. And then also seeing the fact that, they're saying on the news, I heard a story that on the news that somebody who was really alarmed, a doctor, he was saying that the homeless people, not the homeless, excuse me, but the elderly, if they were high maintenance, they were sent to homeless shelters. And then also there was a lady in Brooklyn, New York, where her husband died and they hadn't picked up the body yet, and she was crying so hard, because she's like, I've had my husband on ice for days. And then also we have a police officer, like 26-year-old police officer, who lost her life to coronavirus, and she had an infant. So to me, what's been heartbreaking in this whole scenario as a child of God is the fact that we're not seeing the suffering of the people. We're so consumed in the politics, in the theories, and I'm not saying that people I'm not trying to manipulate or they're not whatever. That's a different conversation. But at the same time, I feel like what I'm seeing anyway, it's not even what I feel, but what I'm seeing is that people are posting how it's not a big deal. The deaths are not what they're making them out to be. Yet on the other side, I have a group of people who are living in the epicenter, and their experience is completely different. And to me, it's been heartbreaking to see that as God's people, we've lost God's heart. We've lost God's heart to weep with those that are weeping, to mourn with those that are mourning, to ask ourselves, God, what would you have me do in this time? But instead, we're consumed with the conspiracy theories. And I just want to ask you that if you're a Christian, if you're a believer, just seek God that in this time, ask God, what would you have me do? And God will speak to you just like He's speaking to me, just like He's speaking to my friends. I don't believe that this is a coincidence. I believe that it's a lot deeper than what we think. And we're so quick to wanting a vaccine. We're so quick to wanting an instant answer, just like we quick in our society, because we want instant everything. But God is really trying to get our attention. God is really trying to speak to us. And the question is that, are we going to listen? Are we going to take the time to seek Him and listen? And if you don't know God, God is also trying to get your attention. He's trying to speak to you, because just like the people died so suddenly, tomorrow is not promised for any of us. So to me, I feel like this is a call for us as a people to take responsibility for the direction, for the choices that we're making in our lives. And if they're not good choices, that we lay everything before God's feet. We turn to Him. We confess the mistakes that we're making. We confess the injustices that are taking place. The way the elderly were treated throughout this whole process. And I'm not trying to finger point, but just seeing things from God's perspective and seeing things from God's eyes. There's so many people right now that are separated from their families. They were not able to bury their families. Some of them, they were on a waiting list for like 3 months to just bury their family members. So many people are suffering on so many different levels. And I feel like as a society and as a people, we lost sight of that. We're celebrating the first responders. We're celebrating the healthcare workers who just basically have been on the front lines. They're laying their lives down to save others. The police officers, the firefighters, the pharmacists. There's so many people, the people that are bringing us food, the grocery store workers, the store workers, everything that God has been speaking to us about, how people are laying their lives down so that we can be comfortable and we can survive. But we ourselves are so focused on other things that we're not focusing on trying to help others. And also the missionaries are all over the world that are laying their lives down to better the lives of orphans, to better the lives of others, to share the love of God. We lose sight of that. So to me, this time, it's really a wake-up call. It's really a time to press the reset button and to ask God, here I am. What would you have me do? So I just want to tell you that this has really been laying heavy on my heart. And I just really wanted to share this because I think that any disaster that happens, especially at this point in time, it's a wake-up call. When we look at what other people are doing to sacrifice their lives to serve others, I find that on the other side, we're not doing the same thing. If anything, we're complaining about why should I have to wear a mask? Why should I, forgetting that if we're asymptomatic, we might be affecting somebody who is vulnerable, somebody who has an underlying health illness. I'm seeing people complaining about going to the grocery store and having to wait because they have to clean before they see me. It's just become a all about me society. It's me, and not really thinking about those that are around us, not thinking about others. Um, Regardless of whether you think that things are being manipulated, numbers are being manipulated, the bottom line is that we can agree that there's a lot of people that are dying right now. There's a lot of people that are losing their loved ones, and that is something that God never wants us to ignore. And I just want you, in your heart of hearts, to seek God and to search God and ask Him what you're spending your time on. Just like God has been speaking to me, and God has been showing me His heart. And it's sad too, because I also had to make a choice to let go of a few friends on Facebook. These are really good, good friends, but the influence was not good for me. It's not where I wanted to be. It's not where I want to be. God was really showing me something different when I got in that prayer time with friends. No one told me or influenced me in any way. It's just that God started to do a deep work in my heart. And I've always been the one that I make choices based upon what God is telling me. Of course, you should reconcile relationships. I'm not saying that to cut off people if you don't like what they're saying. But to me, it was a lot deeper than that. It was the fact that what they were being influenced with and how they were looking at me, not really understanding where I was coming from, were not going the same direction. And I just really want to be around people. Not that I'm not going to disagree with people, not that I don't debate with people, but I'm really at a place where I want to be about God's business. I want to do what God is calling me to do. And I just don't want to be influenced to go the direction that God is telling me not to go. To me, I really want to make a difference in this society. I want to make a difference in this life. We're called here for a reason. For this point in time, God has put us here on this earth for a reason. So I believe that as individuals, God is really calling us to get to Him and ask Him what He would have us do. And secondly, also to pray for our country, to pray for our nation, to pray for our government, because they need God. Our country needs God, and it can't do it without Him. And without love, we accomplish nothing. What difference really does it make if somebody has an underlying illness and they get COVID-19? They were alive, they were living their lives, right? And then they get a virus that complicates their underlying health illness. And if they die, what difference does it make if they died? Obviously, they died as a result of something else attacking their body, which is COVID-19. But the bottom line is that we're so caught in that we're losing sight of the fact that somebody who could have been living maybe 5 more years or longer, or for a long time, their lives are cut short. But somehow it just seems like we become indifferent to people's sufferings. We become indifferent to people dying, and we're cheering people. We're cheering people that are out there that are mocking, that are being insensitive. I really see that it's really not a time for the people of God to be mocking others, especially when people are most vulnerable. Especially when people are suffering the way that people are suffering. This is not a time to be mocking people. This is not a time to be cheering people who are sitting on the marker's seat. Regardless of our political affiliations or our beliefs, it's really, really important. What sets us apart is who we are as God's people. And what sets us apart is the fact that we're able to have empathy. We're able to have compassion. And if we don't have love, the Bible says that if we don't have love, we can perform miracles, we could do signs and wonders. But if we don't have love, then we're nothing. So what good is it if we can have all these political arguments, but don't have the heart of God, and have lost sight of the heart of God. I don't see anywhere in the Bible where people were so caught up in the politics of life that they lost sight of helping others. They lost sight of reaching out to those who were suffering, those who were in the most desperate need. As a human being, that's just not where I want to be. I lost sight of God, in a sense that it was all about my business. It was all about my life. It was all about what that I wanted to do. But this has caused me to really reset, to really focus on what's really important in life. And that's to focus on God and focus on people and how I can help people and how I can reach out, and praying for people that maybe not in close proximity to help, but praying for people. That, to me, that's where I want to be. And to me, it's been the most liberating time. I believe that God is getting us through this, and He's going to heal our land. But at the same time, we don't want to miss the lesson that He's giving us during this time. Thank you for watching. God bless. Bye.